isn't the committee telling us by putting them so far back that they're telling us, well, if all the teams ahead of them keep winning, no, they won't be in the playoffs because we won't have room for them. They're so far. It's not like Oklahoma's 5 or 6, and they're just waiting for someone to lose to get out of the way. They got a lot of teams in front, all of whom could keep winning all their games.
No, they can't.
I mean, not all. Obviously, Michigan State and Ohio State, that's one spot. Or Michigan, if you could find a way to work that in. That's just one spot. Yes. But Oregon can certainly win all their games, and that would be the 4th spot.
Think about this. So what does the committee let us know? And this is one of the actual valid approaches that they take, is that they don't play this, we wait in line like the AP poll and the coaches poll. They reconstruct the season every week. They look at the resume, and resumes change considerably from week to week. So what does Cincinnati not have? Let's concoct a situation that is going to make it the most difficult for Oklahoma to make the playoff. Even if they win the rest of their games, they're 13-0 as the Big 12 champion. Okay. Let's say Oklahoma even looks unimpressive in doing this. They win every game by 1 point. Cincinnati's resume.
They do the same thing they've done all year. They do the exact same thing they've done all year.
Yes, but they're going to do it against Baylor, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and then against another one of those teams in the Big 12 championship game. They will have 4 quality opponents that are currently all ranked in the top 25 somewhere. And let's say 2 of them are 11 and 12, something like that in the country. So they are going to rack up 4 quality wins. So Cincinnati's done. They're gone. There's no way they hold up to that resume. Okay, so they're done.
The only team, well, let's just cut to the chase over here. The only team they have a possibility of usurping in the toughest scenario, which is if Michigan State goes undefeated, beating Ohio State, Michigan, and winning the Big Ten, they're not getting supplanted. And in fact, they might even jump at 2.
Yes, but the other
if
2
Alabama
are gone.
beats Georgia, neither of those teams are getting kicked out. Alabama beats Georgia. The team in question here is Oregon.
We've
right?
already mixed. We've moved them up 3 spots. The 2 Big Ten teams done. Right. Cincinnati done. They're up to 5. Okay.
So we're talking about Oregon now.
Yes. A Big 12 champion that's undefeated is going to be selected over a Pac-12 champion with that horrible, horrendous schedule. Oregon at 12-1 with all these awful narrow wins that they have. They've been just as unimpressive as Oklahoma.
But the committee did not put Oregon back at 7 or 9 with Oklahoma. They moved them all the way to 4. I think that's giving us a little bit of a message.
The message is that they want to keep Oregon. So this is what the committee wants to do. They can save themselves in this situation. Had they placed Ohio State ahead of Oregon, then they're obviously telling us that the resume is more important. But basically what they're able to do now is that they can keep Oregon ahead of Ohio State and justify it with the head-to-head win, or Ohio State's going to have such a better resume down the stretch that at some point, don't be surprised if we see this flip and Ohio State's going to jump ahead of Oregon. Oregon's schedule is awful.
You don't have to tell. I love getting on here and talking, dragging the Pac-12 and the ACC with you. You don't have to convince me of that. But let's say that, okay, so Oregon handled their business last week, right? More or less. They finally did what everyone's been telling them they need to do.
Yeah, but that's that's like Oklahoma.
I know, but they still did it. They did sort of what Ohio State was doing to all the terrible teams on their schedule.
Yeah, the teams Ohio State did.
What if they keep doing that, and Oklahoma keeps beating these teams by 1 score, last-second field goals? At the end of the season, let's say that what we concocted has happened. Michigan State has booted Ohio State out of the running. They've won the Big Ten. Alabama's beaten Georgia. Oregon wins the Pac-12. Maybe they play Utah twice, and maybe they stone drag them 4 times, or not 4, and twice. So we're sitting there the day after, that Sunday after, we're looking at Oregon, who just, again, skull drug their way to the Pac-12 championship, and Oklahoma, who barely beat whoever, I don't know, Texas, or not Texas. Well, I haven't kept up with the Big 12. Maybe Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game. And we're going to say this close win team, we're going to then move them ahead of the Pac-12 champion who beat Ohio State.
If we do that, first of all, we're not valuing the record. Number two, we're not putting value in the schedule. The schedules would not be comparable. And I'm no big fan of the Big 12. I don't think it's some kind of powerhouse league, but it's tons better than the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing I would be much more willing to get on this if they just hadn't put Oklahoma so far back. I mean, they're 2 spots behind Cincinnati.
But these spots
like
aren't
in my
all
top,
created
in my top
equal.
10, I think I had put Oklahoma. I think I had honored them being the only 9-0 team, and I had put them at like 4 or 5 or something. If they had done that, even if they had put them at 6, like trade spots with Cincinnati, they've had Oklahoma's not done well against their competition, but like you say, they have a tougher schedule than Cincinnati, and neither team is looking impressive right now. Everyone says Cincinnati's look good. No, they haven't. They barely beat a one-win Navy and a Tulane team. I know Oklahoma did the same thing against Tulane. That's beside the point. I would still. They have one more win than Cincinnati. They're the only 9-0 team in the country. Let's switch their places. Let's put Oklahoma at 6, right behind Ohio State. Now I can see what you're saying is a lot more plausible. But to just jump, it would be 5 spots from 8 all the way to 4. No, sorry, that's 4 spots. Yeah, from 8 all the way to 4. And in this particular case, taking the place of another team who's 4 spots ahead of you, who doesn't lose any of their more games, that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard to say or to justify. If the committee was going to do what you say and honor the schedules, if they honored the schedules and they honored the wins and the losses, then I think they should have had Oklahoma farther up than they are now.
Okay.
Not all the way back at 8.
Okay. Let's understand that the separation between each of these spots throughout this top 25, they're not all the same. There could be a gap between 10 and 11 that's decided, that's large. There could be razor thin credit card distance between 3, 4, and 5 and 6. They're not all created equal. I go through the same thing when I do my rankings. I think, okay, that's a clear distinction, but 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 they're basically the same team, same resume. Oklahoma is going to play 4 quality opponents, 2 of which are just outside of this committee's top 10 the next 2 weeks. They're going to play 4 quality opponents. Oregon's going to play arguably 0 quality opponents. None of these teams are anywhere close to the committee's top 25 or anybody's top 25.
And
if they don't, if the committee doesn't, then they have lost any shred of credibility with me. If they have Oregon in over Oklahoma and Oregon has a loss to a Stanford team that's right now 3-5, what are they going to finish? 4-8? Oh. Then they better send a note of apology to the 2018. Yes, I've got them ranked higher. Yes, they're too low.
Okay. You just think by the time it's all said and done, the committee will work it out.
There's not been an undefeated Power 5 champion.
I don't think it's going to. I think Oklahoma. Well, I'm not sure if Oregon will lose another game, but actually, I don't know. All this could very well happen. Let's just switch. The more likely scenario, we just switch Michigan State with Ohio State, but we still have the same circumstance. Of course, then I wonder, Mark, well, what if that happens? What if it's Ohio State's the one winning the Big Ten? Are we going to move them ahead of Oregon and then Oklahoma ahead of Oregon? Or are we going to let the team that Oregon beat be in the playoffs, but not them?
I really don't have an answer for you. I know what I think is right. What is right. I also think I know what I believe to be the better team, but I also believe that the game should count.
We play the games for a reason.
Yep.
This isn't a hypothetical, okay, but I really think Alabama would beat Cincinnati 10 times out of 10 if they actually play, blah, 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 blah. No, Oregon and Ohio State actually did play.
Yes.
And it was in Columbus. That's another. Yeah. That's a trait. That's a thing that a lot of people leave out for some reason.
Well,
that was in Columbus. They had to fly. What'd you say? 3,000 miles.
Yeah. Why did Oregon get on an airplane and travel 3,000 miles to play a football game in one of the toughest places to play? They did that for a reason. They scheduled that game for a reason, and they didn't have their best player, arguably the best defensive player in college football.
I think Uncle Lou was on the phone with you a few weeks ago, and he said that if Oregon wins the rest of their games and they somehow get left out, that if I'm them or any Pac-12 team, I'm never scheduling one of these big out-of-conference games again. If that happens.